Yo, what's going on? And welcome back. I finally got a tripod for my camera so that I can actually use a whiteboard that would be mounted on the wall, and have a mic for my camera, so the quality is going to step up from here on out inside of the course. And we're about to get to the exciting part, because now we're gonna start talking about the strategies that you're going to be using with inside of your funnel. This is where the money is made. Yeah, you can have a dope funnel. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can have a dope funnel. Yeah, you can pick the right target market. But if you don't have the right strategy behind your stuff, then the better marketer is going to win in the end. And that is what we're going to start learning right here. So the first thing we are going to learn about are the 7 weapons of influence. There's these things called cognitive biases. You've probably heard of them before, where for whatever reason, generations and generations of humans have led to us having these let's just call them little switches inside of our brains. And whenever you flip that switch inside of someone's brain, it makes them do something. A lot of people might get scared of this because they're like, "Oh, you're being manipulative." But sales in itself is persuasion. Like, if you're persuading somebody to do something, then you're just manipulating them. It's just manipulation has this bad connotation behind it, but that is what you're going to learn inside of here. You're going to learn how to use these weapons of influence in order to sell your stuff. And a lot of times I'm thinking about a lot of these things that are going on. So there's 7. I'm going to take you through every single one of them and give you an example of how each one of them works. All right. So this is definitely the perfect time to be taking notes. First one is going to be, sorry, I have my own notes. So, alright, so first one is reciprocity. Hold on, let me just double check to make sure you can see that alright. And you can. Alright, so I'll probably just decide to use black still anyways. So first one is reciprocity. The way reciprocity works is that reciprocity is like, if I were to give an example in terms of a story, motherfucker, I'm stumbling over my words. Reciprocity, in short, is this feeling that we get where whenever we're given something, we have to reciprocate. Reciprocate means we have to give back. So if you've ever like had a birthday come by, or most likely more along the lines of Christmas, you get a gift from somebody that you were not expecting to get from them, and then because you did that, you immediately feel inclined to want to give something right back to them, because you're just like, fuck, I don't want to be in debt to this person now. I feel like an asshole. I need to get something back. So the way we do this is by giving free stuff away inside of our business. Like we talked about with bonuses and stuff, you can do it that way. You can do it with lead magnets, but that is why we do lead magnets. This is why we do free bonuses, because we want to make this happen. We want to flip that switch inside of the brain. The next weapon of influence is, yeah, the black comes out a lot better. The next weapon of influence is social proof. So you have an option between 2 restaurants. One restaurant has a line out, like you're in a new city, you have no idea what's good, because you don't know anyone there. One restaurant has a line outside of the building, and everyone has a smile on their face. Everyone looks like they're just really enjoying the food. The other restaurant is empty. And there's 2 employees just standing there. They look kind of bored. Some like they're texting, and I mean, like both places look clean. The only difference is one place is busy. There's a line outside of the building. The other one's empty. Which one are you most likely going to choose to eat at? There is a certain percentage of people who will say, "I'm going to go to the empty one because I don't want to wait in line." But 9 times out of 10, you're most likely going to choose the restaurant that's packed, because it's probably packed for a reason. That is called social proof. You're using you're using basically the people there as proof that that restaurant is good. And we can do the same thing with our funnels and our sales pages and our copy. We do this through the use of testimonials. You see Amazon do this where they say a bunch of people bought this and they also have reviews. People literally, in order to even get on Amazon, there's these entire groups, Facebook groups dedicated on Amazon where they give away shit to people inside of the group so that they can leave reviews on their, so that they can get good reviews on their products. That's how powerful social proof is. And it's one of those things that, like, it's very, very hard to fake this, especially when on a case-by-case basis. This is one of the hardest things to fake, which is why we believe in this one so much, and which is why it works. You can see, next one is urgency. Now, urgency is when there's not a lot of time in order to make things happen. So examples of this include putting timers on the pages, having a timed deal. That's essentially it. Like, if there's a certain amount of time in order to get something, that is when urgency happens. And for whatever reason, humans like to put things off until the last minute. The way, honestly, I couldn't explain that to you, but like, we all tend to put things off to the last minute. I do the same thing. The way to make people actually get up and take that action is to add urgency to your offer. Have timed deals going on very often. Make sure that maybe there's like a bonus that gets taken away after a certain amount of time. Putting timers on the page to let people know, like, you're really hitting home with urgency. That is what is going on here, and that is the reason why it works. Very simple, very straightforward. Next. Alright, so the fourth weapon of influence is called scarcity. What this is, it means that for whatever reason, humans feel the need to, we're attracted to resources that are scarce. The easiest example to think of when it comes to this is AirPods, like what you have in my ear. By the way, the reason I'm doing this is because I have very calm music playing in my ears. It makes me think a lot clearer. But these are very hard to find nowadays. For whatever reason, I've gone into multiple stores and they would be sold out on a routine basis. I don't know if they do that on purpose or not, but AirPods are one, as well as Jordans. Jordans are the obvious one. They'll release a new pair of Jordans, and there'll only be so many pairs at each store. And because of the high value of the brand itself, and because they've invoked that scarcity and the urgency, because they only have a certain amount of time and there's only so many pairs that they can actually get, and because they have so much social proof from a line being outside of every single store to get a pair of J's, they're able to sell them like crazy and get a lot of money really fast. But that is what scarcity does. Whenever we see resources are scarce, we try to go after those as fast as possible. And that's sort of self-explanatory when it comes to scarcity. Reducing the amount of people who can get maybe a certain bonus, reducing the amount of people who can get a chance to speak with you if it's a high-ticket offer or something. Just figuring out exactly what way you can apply scarcity. But just know, just limit the amount of people who can get a certain thing. Next. The next weapon of influence is called authority. This one is a little harder to try and just make for yourself. Because what authority is that we have a higher tendency of listening to authority figures. If my roommate were to come here right now and be like, "Yo, Miguel, I need you for a second. Can you please come out here? I'm going to be like, bro, no, I'm shooting the video. If Obama were to walk in here right now and go, Miguel, I need you to come out here and speak with me for a minute, I'm going to pause this video and figure out what the hell he wants and figure out how the hell did he get inside my house. So that is what the authority bias is. It was actually, if you aren't aware of where this is, a lot of this is from, it's from a book called Influence by Robert Cialdini. You will see a link to it below if you want to buy it. But the example that they give in the book is that they were getting people to do, I forget exactly what happened, but they were getting people to do like crazy stuff by just having someone put a lab coat on and putting like a plaque behind them that said that they were a doctor. Like, they were getting people to do wild stuff or listen to crazy instructions, and they were just like, yo, this stuff really works. So establishing yourself as an authority is probably something that you'll just have to do by proving that you know what you're doing. So if you're in the fitness niche, you have to establish yourself as an authority by showing maybe other people listening to you, showing yourself, training somebody. If you're in the business niche like me, it would just be showing myself with other high status people. Showing my results that I actually know what I'm talking about. This is the way that you can show that you're an authority figure. This is the way that you can show that you're an authority figure if you don't immediately have that authority like Brandon does, where he just has a platform. He has 1.5 million people who know him, most likely more, and because of that, he is an authority figure, and this applies to him immediately without him having to do anything other than exist. So that's authority, and it's a very, very powerful one. Next. Alright, so the next one is called likability. I almost completely left this one out because you can't really do much about this one, but it's worth mentioning just because it exists. People tend to listen to those that they like, and the only way that you can possibly control this is by becoming more charismatic, so getting practice. Like right now I'm getting practice talking to a camera, and further on in the road, I'm going to be able to be a more likable person because I am capable of conveying myself very well on camera. Another thing that applies to this is if you're attractive, people will be more likely to listen to you. There's been studies where the more attractive people in the corporate settings tend to get the promotions faster. They tend to get pay raises a lot faster. And that is because they are considered to be likable people just based off of their appearance. Which is why I almost left this one out, but it's worth noting because it exists. I can't really tell you why. I guess like we like doing business with people that we like, which I guess makes sense, but that's likability. Yeah, you can't really control that unless you're attractive. Just know that exists. And then if not, if you're just an average looking dude, average gang, if you're just an average looking dude or girl, then just focus on making your presence more likable. Get better at talking on the camera. Get photogenic, get some very nice pictures, whatever it takes. Or get someone else who is likable and then make sales funnel for them. Alright, last one. Alright, so the last weapon of influence is called commitment consistency. So what this is the second that you get someone to commit to something, or yourself even, you're less likely to do anything of the opposite because you want to hold that frame of mind. You've identified with that commitment. This is why in a lot of business books, they'll tell you to announce your goals to your friends and maybe your coworkers, because you'll hold yourself more accountable to them. And the reason for that is because of this commitment consistency bias. The way you do this is by getting people to get more and more invested in what it is that you have going on. Easiest way of doing that is by getting someone to give you money in order to do something, or just getting them to consume a lot of content over a long period of time before selling them. You want to get them to commit to you and who you are as a person as much as possible. Or if you're not the person who's being sold, if you're not what needs to be sold and is more of a product, then you need to get them to commit as much as possible to that product. If you can get them to announce themselves to all of their friends, if you can get them to just consume a lot of content, this is the way to create that commitment consistency bias. You can also do it by just getting someone to read an entire sales page. They're not going to read. I have yet to read an entire sales page that I wasn't just copying. That didn't make me want to actually purchase it, because I went through the entire thing. Even when I am just going through a sales page because I want to practice with the copy, it's the same thing. Like, as I'm writing it, I'm like, damn, maybe I should just buy this thing, even though I know like they're just hidden like triggers like these, and it's sinking in so deeply because I'm writing it. So that's how powerful commitment consistency is. And these are the 7 weapons of influence. Let's go through them one more time. Reciprocity. I give you something, you feel like you need to give it back. Social proof. I see a lot of people doing the thing, that makes me trust in the thing. Urgency. There is not a lot of time, so I should probably take action as fast as possible. Scarcity. There are not a lot of options. There's not a lot in stock, so I should probably take action immediately so I can be one of the people who get it. Authority. That person obviously knows what they're doing, so I should probably listen to them. Likability. That person is attractive or has an attractive personality, so I should probably listen to them. And commitment consistency. I have identified myself with this person or this product, so I should probably continue to take actions that reaffirm the identity that I have created for myself. These are the 7 weapons of influence. You're going to see me talk about these a lot more in the rest of the strategy portion of this course. But this is a good overview. This is a good baseline for what it is that you need to know moving forward. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.